So the question is, could moss grow on Mars? That is the question a team of researchers at the University of Copenhagen are actually tackling. They're trying to genetically modify Earth moss to survive the harsh Martian climate. Now there, temperatures can plunge as low as minus 120 degrees. And if they succeed, they could be on the way to providing a source of oxygen for future astronauts. So, Christina Toldbo, Victoria Sosnovtseva and Jophiel Wiis are working on this project. So I asked them about the challenges they're facing in designing moss for the planet Mars.
Radiation from space is much harsher on Mars. There is the lack of nutrients that we find on Earth, or at least different nutrients. The soil on Mars is semi-poisonous to plants, which we will need to work around. And then there's the atmosphere, which is a lot thinner and has a different composition and all these different things.
Why moss as opposed to other things to be grown on Mars?
We wanted to do an experiment with a plant because that would be relevant, because it would create oxygen instead of consume it. And that would be a good idea to have if you have astronauts on Mars anyways, they need oxygen. And then there's been a lot of research on different crops and how to actually grow like food for the astronauts. But that's something that NASA is concerned with and a lot of other institutes. So we wanted to do something different.
How much do those recent findings of flowing water on Mars help a project like this?
They certainly matter, but the question is for us whether it helps, because if there's flowing water, the chances of life already being there are definitely bigger. And we don't want to send anything to Mars if there's a possibility of shaking up an existing ecosystem. If there's no life, we've got no problem we've got a few problems putting moss up there. But if there is life, we've got more problems putting it up there, like ethical considerations.
Are you actually physically talking about planting moss into the Martian soil or putting it into a kind of greenhouse environment with Earth soil and just seeing what happens within this kind of atmosphere?
Our idea is to have it in a closed environment, so not letting it loose on the surface of Mars. But the more energy you need to keep this greenhouse in a fit state to have this moss, the higher the cost of this project. So we would like to be able to take Martian soil from the outside into our closed environment and grow the moss in that, because then you don't need to bring your own growth media. A human base on Mars would be most likely placed very close to the equator, because that is where it's easiest to land and also warmest. And at that point, it will only get down to minus 60 at night. At daytime, it will be plus 25 Celsius. So if you have a greenhouse that heats up over the daytime and then doesn't go that far below zero at nighttime, then we have a situation we can use, because our moss is better at surviving just a little bit below zero, which normal moss can't. So just as long as we have a moss that's a little bit better than normal moss, then we have something to work with.
Growing moss for the planet Mars. Christina Toldbo, along with Victoria Sosnovtseva and Jophiel Wiis, working on that project at the University of Copenhagen.
FM4 Reality Check.